Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. As just about everyone is aware, 2024 will be a general election year. And until there is a formal announcement, it'll just be a lot of low-level pushing of politics, of agendas being made, some announcements here, and so forth. Once the formal announcement is made, and we all know the actual date of the election, at that point, the whole circus steps up a gear, and every party will be out pushing agendas going, look at us, look at us. There'll be all the fanfares, the music and the whole show. Now, Sarwar, the leader of Scottish Labour, expects the SNP to have a very dirty campaign. I think that won't surprise anyone. They'll lie, they'll spread misinformation, they'll make false accusations, they'll go after the man and not the ball, as it were. And it's a very dodgy kind of tactic for the SNP to take. For them to start spreading lies about other parties is not good, considering how devastating it would be for them to have the truth told about the SNP. It does make you wonder as to the complaints that they're going to raise when people do start telling the truth about them. However, we'll take a look to see what Sarwar is saying and why we all really expect an absolutely dirty campaign, but I think from all parties, but particularly the SNP. Here goes. So, SNP will resort to dirty tricks in a desperate general election campaign, says Sarwar. And I think Sarwar is actually correct. I believe they will. But I think it's a very, like I say, in the header there, I think it's a very dodgy tactic to do. I mean, undoubtedly, I think the way the polls are going, undoubtedly there will be a Labour government. I don't think that is in any doubt. The very best that the Tories can expect is maybe ditch Rishi, get someone like Penny Mordaunt in, try and salvage something. You won't save the party, but you will at least maybe reduce the damage. But that's as much, I think, as the Tories can expect. Ironically, that's across England. I think in Scotland, the Tories may actually do better because there's such a shift away from the SNP that Labour are obviously going to have the big pick-up on that. But it may be that the Tories can get in and snatch a seat or two off the SNP if their vote holds firm. It's possible. We might well be able to do that, but that's for election day. No point talking now. We're talking about the expected campaign. So Humza Yousaf and Rishi Sunak have been tipped to get nasty as they try to keep Sir Keir Starmer and Labour out of 10 Downing Street when the country goes to the polls. Who'd have thought it, eh? Who'd have thought it? SNP and Tories trying to achieve the same thing, keeping Labour out. Sarwar has predicted the SNP will resort to dirty tricks as it desperately tries to cling on to seats at this year's general election. I think it's going to be very, very bad for the SNP. I've said before, with a bit of tactical voting, and it's down to you guys, get the tactical voting there, you could get the SNP into single figures. The seats where Labour are second, Tory guys vote Labour. The seats where Tories are second, Labour guys vote Tory. Don't vote for anyone, vote against. Vote against the SNP. Get them out, and who knows, destroy them. Anyway, Scottish Labour leader also used his first speech of 2024 to target ousting the nationalists from government at Holyrood, as he urged independent supporters north of the border to back his party to help with booting out the Tories at Westminster. It is a very, very complex system at the moment, particularly in Scotland. You've got the Nats, but the Nats are going to have a split vote with Alba and the Greens. You've got the union parties, but the unions are split across political lines. You've got Labour saying to the Nats, vote Labour to oust the Tories in London. You got the Tories saying to the Nats, vote Tory to try and stop Labour getting in because Labour will make things even harder for you. You got the Lib Dems wandering around wondering what the hell's happening. And you got the Greens saying they're going to stand in every seat and win none. But all the different permutations that are going on, because what they're aiming to do in England isn't the same as what they're aiming to do in Scotland. But the results of England will change what happens in Scotland. But also what goes on in Scotland will have an effect possibly in England. it's one of the most uncallable elections for many, many years. I mean, undoubtedly Labour will form the next government. Nobody is doubting that. The next Westminster government. But the permutations with regards to Scotland are labyrinthine, aren't they? Anyway, speaking in Rutherglen, of course he went to Rutherglen, eh? He doubled his seats in Rutherglen. Speaking in Rutherglen, where Labour won a monumental victory over the SNP in a by-election last year, Mr Sarwar said the SNP and Tories had degraded our politics and won't hesitate to get nasty in order to try and keep hold of power. He added, so as we look ahead to the next 12 months with hope and optimism, we have to expect a lot of dirty tricks and attacks from our opponents. I expect the Tories to tell you that this is as good as it gets and to try and divide us with their culture wars and to run an almighty negative campaign because they don't want change. But they won't be alone, he said. The SNP are going to spend every day and every month between now and the next general election using their energy to not defend their record, not to attack the Conservatives, but to attack the Labour Party. Well, they can't really defend their record. Their record is so appallingly bad, it is virtually undefensible. Indefensible. God, indefensible. But why would they not attack the Tories in London in power and rather attack Labour? It's because they perceive that Labour are their biggest threat. Labour are their biggest existential threat in Scotland. They know the Tories running Westminster is not their real big problem. They know that the problem they've got is Labour. So that's who they're going to attack predominantly. And so with the SNP attacking Labour and the Tories attacking Labour, it's almost as though my enemy's enemy is my friend. There could be some kind of political manoeuvring between them. That would put another whole spin on it, wouldn't it? Anyway, he said, the Nats want the Tories to win the election so they get to keep their excuse for their failures and their grievance. He said, and he went on to say that the SNP have no positive record to defend. I've literally just said that. Polling suggests that Labour will win a landslide at the election. Absolutely will. Handing Mr Starmer the keys to number 10 Downing Street, which I think he'll get to enjoy for about 2 weeks before there's a putsch and he's out and Angela Rayner goes in as the new leader. They need someone on the left, but can you imagine Angela Rayner in charge of the country, a woman who left school unable to read and write? And it hasn't improved much since. But in Scotland, the party is also tipped back to win many of the constituencies it lost in 2015 and again in 2019. Well, when they would go down to only one seat, which they were at the end of the last election, the only way is up, isn't it? There really is nowhere else to go. But how far up are they going to go? And it looks like quite a way, given the fact that let's just say polling suggests they're going to go from the one seat from last time to maybe 25, 26. There's some that are saying 28 seats. That, of course, would be astonishing. Mr Sarwar, whose speech was targeted by anti-Israel protesters, refused to set a target for how many seats his party could win in the general election, but he said the vote would have an impact closer to home. He said it in Holyrood and on the Scottish Government. And he promised the Labour government would resist devolution and take it back to its founding principles, telling supporters that the endless, childish squabbles between two bad governments must come to an end. I mean, there's a thing. If you have a Scottish government in Scotland, obviously, stunning brain there, Dave. Big thoughts, eh? If you've got a Scottish government that's Labour and you have a Westminster government that's Labour, then they will at least talk to each other, as opposed to just hurling insults at each other, which has got what you got with the SNP and the Tories. Anyway, Sarwar went on. He said he stressed that the upcoming general election was just the first step, saying there was also a chance for change in 2026. I would suggest less chance, certainly a chance, but I think when it comes to the election in 26 for Holyrood, I think they've got a bigger job, because by then you'll be 2 years into a Labour government. Midterms. You're in a midterm of a Labour government, and I think, like anything, whenever there's a vote midterm, it tends to go down for the ruling party. And so I think that actually, although we want the SNP out, I think really it's going to be the Conservatives that will have the upper hand over Labour in terms of shifting seats away from the SNP at that point. See what I mean? It's labyrinthine. Scottish politics is absolutely stunning. That's why I love it. Anyway, we'll round off there. We'll come up and we will finish the video. But yeah, it's the permutations. Honestly, it's like doing the pools, isn't it? Pool 8 from 11. Anyway, coming up. Now, of course, my take on it is just from what I'm reading here about what Anna Sarwar is saying about the SNP. But I do feel that come the 26 Holyrood elections, it will be a lot harder for Labour than it will be for Labour to win a lot of seats this time. Because at this point, they've got this momentum. Everyone knows they're going to win Westminster. Everyone knows they're going to get a good, strong, hard vote. And they'll get those numbers. But as I say, come 26, and it's the, was it May 26 when you get the Holyrood election, it's a mid-term Labour government. That makes things completely different. People start resenting the government. Things that have gone wrong are the fault of Labour then, and the Labour support will weaken. Now, whether it weakens enough that a lot of them will run back to the SNP, who knows? But certainly the Tories will be up and fighting strongly, saying, look, Labour have had their chance and they're blowing this and they're blowing that and they're blowing that. And people will be able to look at that and say, yes, they are. So it's just so complex. And I do love the complex nature of the whole thing. But, yeah, tell me your take. In the comments, tell me what your take is. Will Labour do well in Scotland at the general? I think yes. Will they go very badly at the Holyrood in 26? I think also yes. But let me know. Anyway, finish there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment. Please share the video. Till next time, stay safe, stay well, and I will speak to you later. Bye.